everybody, it's Doc dropping in on you. Hope that you are having a great week, midweek. Hope things are going your way, no matter what. Look, another segment of Riding with Rick. Look, before we get started, you know the routine. If you like what you see in here on this channel, click the like button, click the share button, subscribe. If you believe in the work that we do through the Odyssey Project, work that I have pushed for more than 30 years, if you believe in that work, the inner city programs, the research center, the program development and implementation, Black Men Lead, Rite of Passage, domestic violence support, and mental health, something that we're working on right now, is an 18-month research project to address the issues of adult Black males who are pretty much locked out of any type of resourcing as far as intervention for severe psychosis. So again, if you believe in that work, if you believe in it, if you read any of my books, you know the depths that I've gone to find the solutions to many of the enigmatic issues that we face in our community. With that being said, look, I'm going to talk to you about something that's not so heavy, but definitely something that needs to be addressed. Not so heavy in the sense of the topic or the thrust of the topic, which is T.I. and King, T.I. and his son, and all the drama and all the attention that stuff like that gets. And it is what it is. I've addressed this in writing. I've addressed this in video. I've addressed this in lectures. And I will continue to address it because it's a major issue, and it is something more than what we see on the surface. And I'm not talking about what happened between them. What happened between them happens between fathers and sons in many different areas over many different topics and many different things. It is a process of growing up. Son feeling himself, father having to put son in place, a bunch of other things. But I'm going to look more in-depthly at this. My first issue with this isn't even about T.I. and King. It's about all of the attention that's being given to T.I. and King and the drama that's going on between them, or what has happened between them, and the inability to see that they are simply a microcosm, and not even a real accurate microcosm. Let's be real. While T.I. is from the hood and T.I. has lived that life, that trap life, and has paid the price for it in many ways, his son has not. One of the things that he has done is protect his children from the environment he grew up in. I'll give him that. So this kid grew up in a gated community. This kid grew up as a part of a television reality show. So the need for him to want to be seen as having street cred, as being part of the hood alum, so to speak, brings to question something that is extremely huge right now. We have put such an emphasis on hood, and hood has been so intricately woven and connected to community that we literally think Black people aren't Black if they don't have hood cred, if they don't have something dark in their background where they've got a record, they got bodies, they got some kind of hustle they used to do before they went straight, something like that, then they really not Black. And the idea of that has an entire generation chasing an identity that they don't have to identify with. See, there was a time, see, the hood, when I came up, I'm from the hood, and when I came up, you had those who were so drawn in and enveloped by the hood that they would never escape it. You had those who every day woke up dreaming of leaving and never looking back. And then you had those like myself that says, I'm better than this, I'm not gonna let it trap me. But you had your bumps and your skates along the way because you were literally in it. And when you got out, you didn't turn your back, you went back. Whatever it is, let me tell you something. The people who are really truly from the hood, if they honest with themselves and they can put all of the things that they've had to deal with aside, they would say, that's not a life I want to live. And they would definitely not want their children to live it. Now, and I've talked to hardcore cats, from gangbangers to D-boys to everybody else. And you got some cats that are truly in that game, and they think that game is about everything, so they want their kid to come up behind them. They want their kid to get the cred. The last thing that a man should want if he's sitting inside of a prison cell is to look up and see his son walk in. That should be the last thing that a man wants. A man should be saying, I'm in these cells because I was trying to create a path for my son that he didn't have to come. Now, are there better ways? Yes. But let me tell you something about the better way argument. And there are better ways. Better ways are only viable when you recognize, acknowledge, and understand that they're there. When those opportunities are actually hidden and you're told this is your only way out, and you have had it hidden from you, that there are other means, there are other things you can do. My whole thing is, if you can sit up and successfully create a drug enterprise, you can run a company, and you can sit up there and you can do the things you want. You can find the things that are in demand, and you can get through. If you move in drugs, if you really seriously then got into it and you really doing that, you running an enterprise, you managing employees, you creating distribution channels, you're managing profits and margins, you're doing all of this stuff that businesses do. You're just not doing it with a legitimate legal entity. And so you take that and transfer it. Most people aren't taught that. Many of them learn about it after they go to prison for the first or the second time, and they start to read. There's that reading thing again that I've been so adamantly pushing. But anyway, they start to learn and start to read and start to understand, man, I don't have to do this. I can do this, I can do this. And you'll find that some of the greatest business minds that are out there now have a background. Some will share it with you, some won't. I don't push it either way. If you want to share it, there's a testimony in it. If you want to put that behind you and never look back, do what you gotta do. Go get what you're doing and do it the right way. So back to this whole thing with King. The whole thing that popped off at the game, from what I understand, I haven't seen any videos, but I've read enough and talked enough about it with everybody. I mean, that's the whole thing. You can't go anywhere. You can't sit down and have meaningful conversations anymore, because everybody wants to talk about what's popping off with celebrities. Here's the first thing. The vast majority of people who are commenting and having input on this cannot even relate to the life that the people that you're commenting on, the lives that they're living. You can't relate to it. Those who may be able to relate to it are probably not as invested in commenting on it, because look, I know for a fact that my goal was that my kids were not going to live the life I lived. I got them out of the hood as soon as I came. My older kids, I was a single parent, and rearing them. Did the best I could. I'm not gonna go anywhere close, and I was a perfect father, but I'm still an available father to my oldest children right now. But I went and I had them in places, and what I'll tell you is this: even when you get them out of the hood and you put them in places where you think they're safe, when you put them in places where you think nothing's going to go wrong, there's something there. In those gated communities, there's a threat. And so you have to be able to be present, to be engaged, to be involved, to be willing to be consistent. And I have a problem with the fact that we can get so involved in T.I.'s business when literally I've got clients and potential clients coming to me and begging me, and we can't get their fathers involved in their counseling. Fathers are sitting up saying that boy don't need no counseling, and the boy is literally begging for it. You know how hard it is to get a young black male to beg for help? So if that kid's begging for help, that kid's sitting up saying, I need counseling, I need help, and that kid is literally asking the father to sit up and come and be a part of it. And the father's pride, or the father's misunderstanding, or this great stigma that we placed on mental health treatment, is keeping him from admitting. So, and again, I get it. If I admit that my son needs help, then I have to admit that some kind of way I missed something. Well, welcome to the party. Nobody's perfect. And that's one of the things that we tend to be able to do with this whole social media thing, is we get to present ourselves as having all the answers. We get to present ourselves as being perfect. We get to present ourselves as not lacking anything. I was the perfect dad. I was the perfect husband. I was the perfect mom. And all of this. And the truth of the matter is, we all have some areas we miss in, and it's okay to miss. But when you discover you missed, you got to go back and you got to fix it. You got to go back and you got to deal with it. You got to go back and you got to handle it. And that's the thing that I look at. So when I look at T.I., whether he's done it right the whole time or not, the dude is there with his kid. He's present with his kid. He's there with his kid. And yeah, he's handling. And again, I'm one of them people, like, after my first 3 kids, the rest of my kids, I never put my hands on them. They don't know what it's like to get a spanking. But my youngest son, I have had to get in his chest, because it's natural for a young male to get to a certain age and want to test that water. And just getting your chest just enough to let you know, this ain't what you want, kid. You don't want this. Get back in line and fall in place. I'm still this alpha. I'm still the head. I'm still the dude. Everything runs through me. Act like you know. After that, no more problems, and you get back to it. But so T.I. is dealing with what T.I. is dealing with. My problem is, there are so many other kids who don't even have dad present, or dad is literally in the home and absent. And what does that look like? That's that person that's there, pays the bills, and checks out, or pays the bill and becomes aloof and lost in what's going on. And the truth of the matter is, while it's easy to sit up and say, okay, that's just unacceptable. We got to live. What we got to be willing to do, and this is everybody, is acknowledge that men deal with things that no one else understands. If you're not trying to be a man in the home, especially a black man, you don't understand. And then you don't get to say anything, because then you're weak. You don't get to say anything because that's what you're supposed to do. You don't get to say anything. So you sit there and you suck it up, and then what you do is you do what you got to do to get everybody off your back and say that, so that you can say you're a man, and then you check out. You miss the most important parts. Yes, I want to be able to pay the bills. I want to be able to provide. But if that causes me to check out and I can't provide love, I can't provide a covering, I can't be responsive to the needs of the people in the house, I still fail. And there's far too much of that going around. Way, way too much. We have to, and I've written on the family, I've written on the need for proper socialization, proper development, the inculcation of values, interests, and principles within the mindset and the psyche of young children to grow up and to be powerful contributors to their communities, to their families, to society as a whole. And I've written on that in depth. I've spoken on it, lectured on it. And so what I'm trying to get you to understand now is that we truly need each and every one of you who remotely understands what I'm trying to say to become a part of the solution, to become a contributing factor. And that's what I'm going to challenge you to do. I'm going to get ready to get off of here, but in the interim, look, we need your support. Look in the description box and give. If you like what you heard, click the like button, click the share button, subscribe. I'm out.